Well, I'm joined now by Nick Yarris. Nick spent 22 years on death row for a crime that he didn't commit. Nick, not only that, but you were in prison charged with rape, murder, with the worst crimes. How have you not come out as the most bitter, dreadful person?
I didn't want anyone to steal my kindness. It's what's making me uniquely who I am. It's ironic that we're here talking about the death penalty in California and how it's leading to a question about the death penalty being used. I actually met Governor Gavin Newsom just before he took office in 2018.
California's governor.
Yes, I was coming through Burbank's airport having just done the Joe Rogan podcast, and he recognized me. And we were on the same flight together back to Oakland. And as I went up to him with pleasantries, he thought, I stopped him cold. I said to him, do me a favor, please accept this as gracefully as you can, Governor Newsom, but don't let this job turn you into a liar. And he was taken aback that I seemingly was attacking him. And I said, please understand, I'm not attacking you, but there are 800 men on death row. And if I gave you the right to kill one a month, it would take you 40 years to accomplish that. And if you go along with the death penalty, no law enforcement, no victim will respect you. And more importantly, I myself spent over 400 months praying for victims' justice. I said, the only reason you have the death penalty is because your predecessor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, built the death chamber using inmate labor. You remember him from like Red Sonja and Terminator, the idiot that he was, the actor, wanted to be governor and then president, hopefully. So he put to death Tukey Williams in California's death row. And I think that was the defining point, because then it turned into misery. The men on death row in San Quentin right now have to be fed behind a rolling shield because they're throwing feces at the guards. One of my best friends, Sean, right now works in San Quentin, and he's on my Instagram, and I met him, and I've been friends with him for now 5 years. And this man goes into this world dealing with death row prisoners and then turns to me to help him manage the toxic feelings he has for these men.
America is a bit of an exception. There's no European country other than Belarus that has the death penalty. Why do you think the United States still grips capital punishment?
You have to, as an outsider, it seems perplexing, but you have to understand the judicial system is a springboard towards politics. If you're a hard-on-crime prosecutor, you get to be governor. You get to be whatever. But you have to put people to death. You have to get good accomplishments. And if you saw the movie Law-Abiding Citizen, you saw that the prosecutor's demeanor was, I have 100% or a 96% conviction rate. You see? At this point, do you know more people have been exonerated by DNA than have been executed since the 70s?
Well, I mean, DNA is what saved you.
It is. I spent 8,057 days in solitary confinement, and I had to actually ask to be executed for the crime I was convicted of in order to get the DNA done. How shameful.
When do you think this will end? Do you think it will ever end?
It has its cycles. There's a very small population of states, as you know, that have the death penalty. And
about half the American states.
Less than. And of those, very rarely are they carried out outside of the former slave states. You have to understand that Mississippi, Alabama, and all these had a derogatory nature about them for the slaves and people of lower ilk, they would call them. And it was easy to diminish them and put them to death. You see, that kind of mentality permeates, and it's so terrible that Louisiana, especially Oklahoma...
Oklahoma put someone to death today?
Well, last year I was on here talking about the nitrogen gas execution and how horrible it is and how they're trying to facilitate this notion that there's a clean way to kill someone.
What would you say, though, to Nick, who say if people do the worst crimes and if they're guilty of them, then they deserve to get the most severe punishment, because there are plenty of people who think an eye for an eye.
I know, but I told this to Governor Newsom. I said, sir, I can promise you the wheel is worse than the death penalty. And he knew what I meant. The wheel means life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. And I said, sir, I asked to be executed rather than have that fate. And I promise you, the death penalty will never give one person back their loved one. Please don't let this become something is a bad version of Red Sonja.
And what is your one takeaway, Nick, from this 22 years of facing death?
Off camera, we talked about it. The greatest experience of my life. It gave me poise, charisma, charm. I've written my latest book, celebrating now my 20th year of freedom. I got out in 2004. I came here to speak before Parliament. What a great honor. And from there, I parlayed that into a speaking career for the last 20 years. I'm working on a current film with my friend Alex Rattoli about his cancer. And I have a new project in Los Angeles that I'm working feverishly on. So I've taken all of it as the greatest gift of my life. All of my friends from childhood and both of my brothers are dead because of AIDS, crack, all of the degradation of society. God spared my life so that I could come out here and do good. I honestly believe that.